good friend of mine. His name is Calvin Ruffin, and when you talk about brothers that really care about the struggle, people find creative ways to push information out about the culture, people who are using film to do that. This is one of the first brothers I ever met to do it the way that a lot of us are trying to do it today. How you doing, brother?
How are you today, man? Nice hearing you.
Good, good. And let me say congratulations. I wanted to get in contact with you because of your book, The Maryland Boys, as well as a TV series that you got coming out and people are talking about right now. Tell us a little bit about that project, brother.
Well, the Maryland Boys, the book itself is actually, it's under the fiction genre, but it's about 95% real life. I had to mix in, of course, some different names, etc. But it's a generational story, man. It took about 13 years to actually bring it to fruition. It was originally, it started like in '92 in terms of, it wasn't under that name, though. It was under a short film I did called Real Life Story. And basically, I was always trying to find my way, through the maze of life in terms of being African American and our continuum, in this country. Like yourself, man, I'm a huge, history buff, and, it seems like, Opio, you and I were just born in this thing of wanting to carry the torch and, make a way for future generations. So, that's what the Maryland Boys is. It's more of just a light on all the things that African Americans have had to go through, in the country itself. You know what I mean? From like post World War II to our current time.
Right. And tell me a little bit about how you got into making films.
Well, it's funny, man. It's funny how you get these things where I think we're all like born with these multifaceted things. I think in the 6th grade, I did a little claymation. I actually still have it, man. I even loaded on YouTube a little claymation stop animation film, and from there, I was really smitten with the whole, pre-production thing and the whole, preparing for the whole process, right? So what happened was, that was my first taste of it, and then you always have your favorite movies, etc. But then I spent a year in Boston, Massachusetts with my mom, and she was at Harvard at the time, and that sort of exposed me, because I'd only really been in that Maryland, D.C. area, that particular culture. When I got to Boston, man, it was a whole nother academic type situation, etc. So she took me to see a movie called She's Gotta Have It. And Spike Lee, now, understand, I had known about Melvin Van Peebles and all these people, hadn't quite stepped into Oscar Michaud information yet, but I knew about some of the classic filmmakers, right? But nothing really made me want to get back into learning more about it than when I saw Mars Blackman, man. I mean, Spike Lee, at that point, he was incredible to me. So that's how I started to go back and study and, get into it.
And then I met you at Norfolk State University, and I forget exactly how we met. I think I had a roommate, Will, that you and Will were real cool, and somehow, I can't remember how you and I met, but we clicked, and I was working to run a student government with some other people, and I remember your film came to my attention. And we ultimately made it one of our big events for Spring Fling. I think we showed it twice. And I was a part of that film. As a matter of fact, the film was called The Things We Go Through. And I was a part of a vignette called Keeping It Real.
Yeah.
Talk about that project.
Yeah, I'm going to have to show that on Facebook based upon us having this whole interview thing. The thing about it was, see, I was on a collision course with you, though, to meet probably anyway. That was, of course, the creator, because not only was Will, you and Will great friends, but also my friend to this day, Toya Nichols.
That's right.
She always talk about you because, hey, man, you were wearing the dreads. Then so you were in a real sort of, you were always that type of guy, though. Like, you were into the whole scene and trying to, freedom fight. Then, I mean, you were, wearing the dreads, man, and, you were doing your thing. So I heard things about you. I just didn't know you. So, of course, see, what happened was, once I met you, though, you see, that's the thing, man. When these warrior energies meet, they just are magnetic. And that's why once I met you, I wanted to be friends with you because we have the same kind of mind. And then, everybody has their genius, though. I noticed that you had that thing, so that's why I wanted to be involved with, keeping it real. And we've been actually tighter friends since then than my relationship. I haven't talked to Will in years, and that's not him, but I mean, it shows you the kind of magnetic souls, you know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah, man. And those of you don't know, Calvin is a real brother. I did a film called Turn Off Channel Zero. And what we were doing, we were looking at negative media images, and the star of that film was Professor Griff of Public Enemy. I had to call Calvin in order to fill out the collage and the direction of it, and then he sent me some information and some footage, and we put that in there because Calvin really was the prototype, the blueprint for black people not being afraid, putting information out there on video, and putting that right out there to the people. This is the guy, Calvin Ruffin, who was the blueprint before we were all doing this guerrilla style type filming, before we were actually putting really good cultural information out there. Calvin was doing it, and not only, and he would throw some guerrilla style tactics, but he was writing. He was writing. Not only was Calvin, you were writing, but you were actually organizing vignettes. But after that point, you put out a series of videos that are just incredible music over, whether it's go-go or whether that music was just some incredible hip-hop from Gangstar or CL Smooth, and I mean, you name it. And then he would throw clips in from some 70s movies, never seen like that before. So a lot of the people, when you see some of those types of styles today, that's Calvin is the blueprint for that type of style. Talk about how you get into putting all these various things together and really creating that type of genre.
Well, I think that came from, when we talk offline, we talk about how, like, there's nothing new under the sun, and I think that it came from people like, mainly the montage is one of my favorites, because I got that from admiring Gordon Parks. I think that the music that you and I grew up with was so influential, and so the content was so heavy that you just, the Pete Rocks and the Gangstar and the Public Enemy and these type of people, it seems to blend those is a wonderful thing to be able to do. And I do want to tell you, man, it's funny how, as brothers in war, like, it seems like sometimes, like, when I had lows, every artist has highs and lows. When the highs are when ideas are coming through and stuff is just there, and then when real life, you're living life, etc. See, like when you did Turn Off Channel Zero, that lifted me also back up into remembering what the straight path was and what the whole objective was about what we're carrying. I'm telling you, Opio, for real, man, it's like the whole team of people. You know what I mean? Like, from when you introduced me to Top Cat, and I mean, all this stuff is like, I tell you, Spike Lee said something years ago that's true. He said, man, power structure makes it seem like, filmmaking and all these things are such huge undertakings and so hard to discourage the, we don't even want to use the word minority, but that's what they say, right? from putting their visions out there. And I tell you, man, that is so true. Because if you look at how the challenges you had with Channel Zero, look at that, man. I mean, it's like you could have made 5 of those flicks, if it wasn't as hard to do what you had to do. So I'm just saying to you, man, that that movement kept me going, made me want to, delve more into the whole montage, get back to this question, and the whole, combining of messages. So it's all about those messages. And you and I grew up in a golden age of hip hop where, man, we can't let that die. We have to combine the real message music with our visuals.
Right. This is Opio Speaks. I'm speaking to Calvin Ruffin. He is the author of the book, The Maryland Boys, and a TV series that's coming out. Tell us, people, how that they can access the book, how they'll be able to see the TV series. And I'm talking about really, really good stuff, because when we talk about Maryland, you're talking about people, just some incredible people in the country that you already know. We talking about Palmer Park. You're talking about Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, you name it. In boxing, some of the greats have come from there. When you talk about comedians, I believe Martin Lawrence, Dave Chappelle are from that area. So talk a little bit about those things.
Well, and I do want to tell you that the whole thing with Maryland is what, you're right, that particular culture is what makes the story unique from the standpoint of a language, meaning, and clothing and a cultural music standpoint. But I got to tell you, it's so much broader in that title, Maryland Boys, because it's really about, again, the whole countrywide black culture. I mean, I could come right down to Jacksonville, and our people are doing the same things to survive this marginalization in this country. And the only difference is they have a different slang, and they may wear their clothes a bit different. But if you take those things away, right, it's the same struggle. So my thing is that, yes, we get to have the specialness of the Maryland, that D.C. metro area culture that is so misunderstood. And to be honest with you, Opie, I tell you, man, you haven't gone to Howard, and see, the culture. And the thing about it is, man, it's still being misrepresented, bro. What I want to say is that, things you're seeing out of D.C. now, unfortunately, they're highlighting, violence and drugs. This is stuff that's going on all over the country.
Right.
So, I mean, to be redundant with that is like, what for? You think black folks don't know nothing about trying to survive?
Right.
We know about that. So I'm saying to you that, yeah, man, you touched on the Martin Lawrences, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Lynn Biases. Now, within those three names, and there's so many more, the whole African-American experience is there. What do we mean? Look at Martin Lawrence's struggle in Hollywood. He had substance abuse problems. Sugar Ray Leonard had substance abuse problems. Them bias from that. Now, there's so many ways we could go with that, but that's another show. But, it's a lot of stuff in this Maryland Boys really is a broad story. Broad story, man. It's one for the ages. So as far as the series is concerned, we're really getting close to that, and I want to, sort of stay under wraps with that. But again, people can go to, themarylandboys.com to always stay current with what we're doing. But we really are going to make a difference, man. We have the same mission that we have with Turn Off Channel Zero.
Yeah, because
what do we always say, Bill? Never quit.
That's right. I'm working on this documentary, man. It's taking a while, called Street Stars. This is when I saw a video you put out a while back. You were just driving in the car, and see, this is what makes Calvin special. He's driving in the car, just have a camera on. Anybody can do that, right? But
yeah.
I spent probably an hour or two just captivated about some of the people that you and I may not know, but he began talking about these personalities and these places and these street things, and I know that in every town you got your street stars. You got your areas that you couldn't hang out in if you wasn't down with this person. You got some of your famous shops. You got your famous people that nobody except people from that area. You had your cliques and you had your crews, and you had certain points that things changed, and everybody had the gentrification issue. And so you're right, man. You talked about those things, and it was a Saturday morning. I got things to do. You put that out, I was captivated, just stood there, because I'm like, man, when he's talking about what's happening in that DMV area, you're right. people can see that and see their own stories from no matter
Yes.
where they live.
Yes.
Now, tell us again where they can pick up your book, and I'll let you go. I know how busy you are.
Okay, sure. If anybody's interested in the book, you can go to Amazon.com. Best place to get it, and just type in the Maryland Boys, or you can type in Calvin Ruffin II, and the book is there. Again, the MarylandBoys.com will keep you up with updates on the series, when it's coming, etc. And that's it. Just stay current with us. We're gonna keep chopping wood, because we're gonna. The one thing I do want to say is that we, as I said in the other article, we're doing a series. This will never be condensed into a movie, because again, you're talking post World War II to 2020. So you have to. That's going to have to be a series, and that's what you're going to get from a series, so you can see the lives of the characters unfold.
Right. All right, brother. I appreciate it.
No problem. Much thanks.
You're listening to the Victory Station, AM 1360. We're glad you chose us.